Y'all can't hear me. I muted myself. I feel like an idiot. So, now that I'm done, you know, making myself feel dumb, hold on. Maybe I'm not. Hold my beer while I go check YouTube, because it'd be really awkward if I was like live on Instagram still, but I wasn't live on YouTube like I need to be. No, I'm live on YouTube. Yep, I'm on there. Okay, dope. That works too. Man, exciting. That's exciting. So now that you can hear me and I'm done making myself look like a fool. Hey, welcome to another episode of Mediocre Dads. I'm your host, Quan. I go by Q, of course, and I'm gonna make this episode a quick one. Well, at least I hope so. We'll see. We'll see if I could do 30 minutes. Yeah, that's around 8:40. Let's see if I can do 30 minutes. I got a story I want to tell y'all. And, excuse me. The reason I want to tell y'all this story, so, it was something I was thinking about because I went and saw a counselor, if you will. And something that was on my mind was something that it was in a series of events that led to the ultimate event, which I got in trouble, but also me kind of creating the person that I am now, the person I am today. And so that event was, let me go back before I really just kind of dive right into it. But so there's this, going back, I changed my job in the military. I was HR, or what is known as HRs, which is like human resources, right? I changed my job. And from there, I go to, which is Army counterintelligence. And so, it's all fancy. I'm a special agent. It's all cool, whatever. No, whatever the stuff might be. It's MOS 35 Lima, 42 Alpha to 35 Lima. And I go to my first duty station, which is Fort Bragg, North Carolina, now Fort Liberty. I won't call it Fort Liberty, just like Fort Cavazos is not Fort Cavazos for me. It's Fort Hood. Anyway, so I go to Bragg, and I wasn't set originally to go to Bragg. I was supposed to go somewhere else, so I was pretty upset with my branch manager when he decided to send me to Bragg. I get there, I'm in processing. There's this other agent. His last name's Mabolo. I'll never forget this dude, and right when I meet him, I know something's off, right? Like I immediately kind of peep, like something strange about this dude, and I couldn't really figure out what it was. I couldn't figure out why he was strange to me. Like, it was just like, I don't know. He was just off the wall. Just something didn't seem right. I would find out shortly after. So after a while of being around him before we went to Poland, I started to notice he was very inappropriate. So like, y'all ever been around that person who says some offhand comment that's inappropriate comments, like, sexually related comments, sexually inappropriate comments, especially comments like not appropriate in the workplace. Like if we were, they're not even acceptable anywhere, but like among friends, if you were out in the bar or something among your friends and a bunch of guys were just drinking, maybe that would be acceptable among those certain crowds. But like, I know for me and the people I roll with, like we wouldn't, that's not why we're not doing that. So he was, it was quickly identified that he would make these comments. And I was like, yo, like, what is wrong with this dude? Like, why is this dude the way he is? Like, what is going on? You know what I mean? And, oh geez, I'm on there. Oops, I turned my thing down. Hold on, sorry. Let me turn that down. And so I was like, everyone knew he was the way he was talking was inappropriate and was just not optimal. Not like it wasn't going to do anything for the workplace. And so he, he would say these things and we would kind of like chuckle, like, ha, ha, ha. Like, maybe after a while he'll catch a hint. Like, this is just not a way a person should be talking or acting, especially for, I think it was like 30, 33, 35. He was in the range of 33 and 35. And it was like, so like, you're like, like in the military for us, like, I'm not saying that's old, but in the military for us, that's old, right? Like you're old, you know what I mean? And when in all actuality comparison, you're not, but like military being fit and being all that, like you're considered an old guy, right? So for an older guy who had kids, who was responsible, he was previously married, like, the expectations were different for him than it was, say, for myself, who was at the time 26, 27. And so, fast forward, we deployed to Poland. And at this point, I'm like, man, I don't want to be with him. I don't want to be around him. Like, I just know it's not going to go well. And so I was like, you know what? It's all right. I'm going to go to, I'm going to be in a different location. So it worked out. I was going to be in a different location. We deploy into February. We deploy into February, into March. And within that first week of getting there, COVID officially is a pandemic. And so, like, it's like, yo, what the heck is going on? The whole world around us is shutting down. Now, Poland is different, y'all. Let me tell you, right? Poland is different. Poland don't play with the whole, this is going to impact us, blah, blah, blah. No, they're different. There's some different characters they got going on over there. So Poland was like, nah, COVID, but COVID schmovid, you know what I'm saying? But like, still, nonetheless, like, it's COVID for us. And so we're trying to figure out, is our unit going to send us back? What's that going to look like? Is everything going to be over? Is the exercise going to be over? Like, what are we doing, right? So they say, hey guys, we're on like a cease operations. You're just going to, be in your locations until we tell you otherwise, like what we're going to do for deemed essential personnel, which is crazy, right? To be deemed essential personnel. But anyway, we're going to be, whether or not we're going to be deemed essential personnel. And so we're like, all right, cool. Sounds good. So we're kind of doing the waiting game. Well, we're not deemed, 2 weeks go by, we're not deemed essential personnel. And they say, okay, now we're going to remove certain locations because everybody was spread out. So we're going to, draw down certain locations and we're going to, bring everybody into more of a central location near each other because everything that was going on. And so he ends up being where I'm at. And right when he shows up, I just knew, I'm like, oh, great. This is not going to be good. Like, I just knew it wasn't going to be a good thing. I knew that it was going to turn out to be a, more or less just a complete crapshoot, And so I'm like, all right, I got to make the most of it. I got to put my best foot forward, give the best attitude because he's my new job. We have this year of a probationary we're probationary agents, and similar to the NCIS probies, right? And we're probationary agents, and then also I'm still an NCO, so I'm getting still getting evaluated by him as my rater. So 2 evaluations are done by him to determine, one is to determine my future within that new MOS, and the other is to determine essentially the future of my Army career, right? All talk, right? The entire time we're going through, we're in the quarter. He's like, yeah, you guys are doing great. Me and my partner, who's a female. You guys are doing great. You guys are doing great. Keep it up. Great job. Blah, blah, blah. All this high accolades, high positivity. Says we're always doing a good job. So in our minds, we're like, great, we're doing an awesome job here. Like, like we're really doing a good job. And we finally get our evaluations in the first quarter with our evaluations as agents. And they were just straight trash. Like he just trashed on us the entire time. And me and my partner, we couldn't believe it because, this entire time we have been dealing with a lot of his bullshit. Forgive my language because like I was willing to deal with a lot of his unnecessary nonsense because he was in charge of me. But you shouldn't have to deal with that, right? Like no person should have to deal with it. Now keep in mind, y'all see me. Y'all see my stature, if you will. I'm not like a small individual. And compared to me, he was a small dude, and like I physically, like I could overpower him, which I would never do, but like still, like nonetheless, like I was, and to give you kind of perspective, I'm a big dude compared to him. Like I'm a strong dude, whatever the case might be. And so for this man to be able to control so much of my future and me to be having a willingness to just take all his BS, I was like, if it's what I got to do, it's it's part of the Army at this point. I've been in the Army for some time. It's like, it's part of the Army. It is what it is. You got to do what you got to do. And it's, I should add this. This is not by any means to crap on the Army. Two separate entities, if you will. This is Quan, and DOD, whatever that saying is, right? I'll put that in the description, whatever, so they don't ever try to use it against me. But anyway, I'm like, I shouldn't have to deal with this, right? And I end up sending an email to my boss saying, hey, listen, these are some of the things that we've been dealing with, me and my partner, and these are some of the things we've been experiencing since we've been out here, and we've been hiding them or keeping them close knit because we didn't want these things to be used against us by any means, or for any negative means. And that email warranted him traveling down to us within 24 hours. Yep, within 24 hours, and he was down there, and he literally was like, pack your bags, you're going with me. And we had to move the locations, and he went and had a conversation up the stairs. So I've been a little cryptic this entire time, and there's a reason, right? Because I want you guys to have the context of what happened and whatever, and I'll tell you the end in a little bit. So now we're separated. We're at two different locations again, and we're the process for Sharp and EO, or him being violating Sharp and EO, have started. Now let's go to what he had said. So he made several absurd and obscene comments, and I can't say all of them in graphic detail. I won't say all of them in graphic detail because, one, potentially my girls could watch this, and I never want them to hear these words. And then two, YouTube. So he says to me, one of the comments he says, we're driving, me and my partner, again, female, we're driving to one of our locations to go talk to one of these command teams and have a conversation with them. And me and her in the front, we're game planning, and we're kind of figuring out what we're trying to do, what we're going to do, how we're going to approach this conversation. And he's asleep. He's knocked out because it's a 45-minute drive, but he's asleep. And he wakes up, and he goes, hey, Quan, have you ever pleasured yourself while going to the bathroom? Number two. Now, what he said, obviously fill in the blanks, were these obscene comments, but those were his words. That was what he said, right? I think you can build a picture or understand what I'm trying to say from what I just said. And so he said that, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't understand. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, dude, like what is going through your mind right now? Like, no, like leave. What? Like, I just want to be left alone. I'm in a Toyota Corolla with this man. I'm like, no, like leave me alone. Like, I don't know. He goes, you should try it. And I'm like, no, like, bro, like we're trying to talk about work right now. We're trying to figure out how to game plan. We are here in this front seat trying to show you that we are capable of being good and great, potentially great agents one day. And your concern is that, like, that is where your head's at right now. Like, like just couldn't believe it. And he was like, no, my bad. And it kind of just rolled off his shoulder. But I was able to roll off his tongue just like so easily, just like, I didn't say anything wrong. Was just crazy to me. And so I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. Like that is just absurd, right? And that's one of many. One of the other comments he said was, he was like, we had a female agent coming down from one of our other locations, and she was she was coming down to kind of see what we were kind of get ingrained with what we were doing, kind of help us out a little bit, provide some assistance. And and before she shows up, he says, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna try to smash, right?" And he's, again, small, short, little dude. He's not by any means like gonna be the pick of the litter, the first pick, right? He's not. And not, so not to say that comment is acceptable even if he was, but it was just to give you guys a picture. He's not by any means that, right? And so her not being there yet, all of us are in the office, because he said this in front of all of the H's who were already there. They were like, "Yo, like, no, like, we're here to do work. Let's keep it professional, like, whatever. Like, come on, bro. Like, we shouldn't have to tell you this." And keep in mind, this guy's a staff sergeant. Like, it's assumed he's, somewhat of a knowledgeable or a decent leader, right? And so, he makes that comment a couple times, and everyone kind of just like, we're just going to leave this alone, whatever, and we're going to brush it off. Fast forward, she shows up, and she's like, "Hey, I hear one of your units is going to do some night stuff. We should go out there and see if we can get entwined in with that." And he goes, "Oh yeah, they haven't seen a female in a while, because you're and to them, you'll be attractive in the dark, because you're a 3 in the day, but an 8 in the dark." And everyone's kind of having their own conversation, and here's him says this, and we all kind of like, what the heck? We all stop and we're like, okay, keep talking. He says it 2 more times. 2 more times he says it. And at this point, we're all like, okay, dude, like, you've obviously said, try to make a joke, or if it was trying to make, we think he was trying to make a joke, but at this point, it's gone too far. Like, you've gone too far. You're rating her or giving her a rating, if you will, trying to say she's just based off her looks, or whatever, and it's inappropriate, right? You shouldn't be doing that. And so he he was like, in his head, he's like, "I didn't do anything wrong," but he's like, "All right, whatever." But she flips on him. She starts going off. She's like, "Who the F do you think you are? Why do you think you could talk to me? What the F is wrong with you? Blase, blase." And everyone's just kind of sitting there just like, "Yeah, man, you kind of deserve this. You did it to yourself." And we're all just kind of like, "Yo, like, what made you want to say that in the first place? Like, what made you want to say that comment in the first place?" And, he says it like there's like nothing matters. Like, it was just whatever, he could do it. And, it kind of set the tone for the rest of the time. Like, okay, there's obviously something off with this dude. I could tell you several other things he said. A lot of very inappropriate things, but a lot of it was, again, sexual in nature that was inappropriate. And it was just like, yo, like, we're grown adults. Why are you talking to us? Like, why do you think this is an acceptable behavior, acceptable way to act? And so, it was very hard to then go through some of those are just some things, not everything, but there was a lot more that was said. But then it was hard, fast forward, to get my evaluation. And in my evaluation, it says, inability to brief, in which I think is hilarious. Let's kind of stick on that real quick. He said I'm not capable of briefing. I have a podcast, like, obviously at the time I didn't have a podcast, but still, like, I'm an extrovert person. I'm an outgoing person. I'm able to, I like to think of myself able to talk to anybody or carry myself and hold a conversation with anybody. And so, he was like, confidence, inability. And he was like, my confidence in briefing. And I was like, I don't think that's true. Can we have a conversation about that? And he brings up the fact that he related to I couldn't brief because we are sitting down, we're in an interview with somebody, having a conversation, and this dude in the middle of this conversation says, "Oh, we need to go brief this command team. I'll give them a capabilities. We tell them what we're here to do, what we can do for them, blase, blase." And I was like, okay. I said, I've never done one of those. Can you? He's like, I need you to do it. I was like, I've never done one of those. Can you do it? Because I would like to see what it looks like. And it's like, once you show me what it looks like, because part of his job is to train me and show me and kind of give me guidance and show me what these things look like. I was like, can you show me what this looks like? So then next time I said, we'll come down here and I have no problem doing it. I'll do that. I'll give a brief anybody, you know? And he was like, if you don't want to do it, if you're too scared to do it, just say that. I said, no, understand. I said, you're here to teach me. And one of the best ways I learn is through visual and, what's the thing? I think it's like doing, right? Like actually doing things. So I was like, that's one of the best ways I learn. So I was like, can you just show me once how to do it? And then from that point on, I'll do all the other ones you want me to do. I just need to see what right looks like right here. And he goes, I get it. You're scared. You don't know what you're scared to do it. Every agent should be able to do this. I said, I got it, but I've never done this before. And we didn't train how to do this. They just said, hey, just tell them what you do. And I was like, that's easier said than done. But in this instance, I would like to know what specifically we can do for them. So we're not just sounding like one of those regular normal briefs that any of the command teams will get. Right. And he goes, huh, all right, man. All right. And so he goes, you know what? You're too scared. And so he looks at my partner and he's like, will you do it? She's like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And he goes, you finish this interview and we'll go do this. And I was like, all right, dude. So he related to that as I was not confident in briefing. And I was like, any other brief? Sure. But I was like, I've never done this brief before, you know? And so, you know, that individual, man, I submitted a sharp complaint. Me and my partner, long story short, we submitted a sharp complaint. We submitted a EO complaint because he would use the N-word, not directly at me, but in regards to others around me. And I even told him, I was like, hey, man, you need to stop doing that. And I don't use the N-word. And I was like, you need to stop doing that. You know, I was like, and he was like, oh, yeah. And then he would do it again. And so it was just a continuation of always doing these things and always never seen he was listening to what I was saying. And so finally, you know, when the evaluation came down and it was crappy and because he lied to us, basically said we've been doing this great job, but then put all this negative stuff in there. I was kind of like, like you said, we've been doing good. So I'm kind of confused on where this negativity is coming from. You know, we just kind of had enough. Like we, like I said, me and her, we were literally, and we talked about it before. Like we literally had sat through car rides of obscene comments, car rides of just him just saying and off the wall things, and us just dealing with it because he was our evaluating agent and our rater, and we're just like, hey, we just got to bear through this a little bit longer. It's almost over, and when we get back, we'll talk to leadership and have him no longer be our EAs, but we should be good because he's gonna write decent, good enough freaking thing on us, and we'll just move on. I'll call it a day. And it wasn't that. It wasn't that at all. He just he lied. And so for us, that was kind of like the tipping point of like, yeah, like I've been going through this nonsense for X amount of weeks at this point, just for him to crap on me. No, absolutely not. And so that's what's warranted the email, and that's what warranted our boss coming to get us and us leaving. And so, fast forward to now. He got in trouble. He got a GOMAR. For those who don't know, it's a general officer memorandum of record. And if you get a GOMAR in the military, your career in the military is officially over. But if you get it, so if it's a locally filed, you have hope. If it's permanently filed, meaning it will be with your in your record forever and be with you forever, regardless of where you go, you're done for. There's nothing you could do in the Army, in the military, because you have that stain on your record. It's like I guess in the military, it's like committing. It's like getting one of the worst things you can get, because you get it and you're done for. And so he got that, and it was just kind of like, it was like, cool, right? Like, payback, more or less. I don't know how to explain it. And sorry, forgive me. I'm trying to see something here. Where did it go? Where did it go? There it goes. So he got that, and I was like, cool. He's done. He's going to get QMP'd, which is, if you have anything egregious on your record, they're going to kick you out of the military regardless of your time. You might be able to get a retire if you're close enough, but other than that, you're done for, and that's it. And so he got that. He got QMP'd and he got kicked out. How this shaped me and how this changed me as one, as a man, two, as a father, three, as a leader. As a man, I from that point on, I was like, you know what? I try to play it. I try to do the game and what the Army tells me to do, right? And just kind of like, you're going to have those leaders. They're bad leaders. Just grit your teeth and just kind of grind through and you'll be all right. I was like, I'm no longer doing that. I'm never doing that again, right? Also, I will never allow anybody to talk to me any way they want to ever again. I don't care who you are, regardless. I tell people all the time, but two biggest things are respect and communication. And I might not be the best communicator, but I do my best to communicate with others to let them know like that I have good intentions, whether it's trying to explain something, whatever the case might be, but I over communicate, and I think that's, well, at first I thought it was a bad quality. I think it's a good quality because it's one of those qualities in which I'm always wanting people to communicate with me. And so, because I communicate with others. And so, again, may not be great at communicating. My message may not be received the way I want it to, but still I try to communicate with anybody. And then respect. I value respect. I think any man would value respect. And for this man who, for lack of better terms, I was superior in a lot of ways, for him to hold over my head a piece of paper that said, hey, I have my career. I have your career in my hands. I can do whatever I want with you. I can say whatever I want to you. Infuriated me, right? And now forget the career part. As a man, he's looking at you and basically just telling you like, you'll do whatever I tell you to. If I say you suck, you're like, Roger that, sorry, and I suck at, I guess I'm a terrible agent. Like, you just, like, that is the power that he had, and that's the power he would wield and he would use against me and my partner. And it was one of those things, you should never have to go through that. You should never have to work in like a hostile work environment. That was like that's the second time I've worked in a hostile work environment. And so I finally, like I said, I was like, as a man, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to allow another man to talk to me that way. Like, we're going to have to figure this out. Like, there's going to have to come to Jesus moment, and we're going to have a heart to heart. Cause like, that's not happening again. And then, as a leader, I was like, I'm never going to be that way. I tell people all the time, your rank on your chest does not define who you are. It cannot define who you are. But for whatever reason, there are people in the military where their rank defines who they are. I'm a staff sergeant, that defines who they are. I'm a sergeant first class, that defines who they are. It defines who they are so much that they embody it completely, where it's overwhelming to a lot of people, and they're just like, yo, and they think, okay, I have power now. I have real power. I have met so many people in the military who peaked in high school, or who didn't peak at all, or they were made fun of, or they were belittled or bullied a lot, or whatever, right? And they grow up, go into the military, and for the first time in their lives, they feel they have power. And when they get that power, they get power drunk, and they don't know what to do. So now they start treating people, good people, bad people, everyone, more or less, like anybody who's subordinate to them, they start treating them like straight dog water. They start treating them how they were treated, because they're like, now I can treat anybody how I want to, because I was treated like dirt, and they're going to understand what it was like to feel like to be me. And you're just like, no. Be the change that you want to see. As cheesy and tacky as it sounds, be the change that you want to see. And so as a leader, I was like, no, never. It's never going to happen for me. I'm never going to allow my the rank I hold to determine how I interact with people. Never. And to this day, I don't. I tell people, I say, hey, I just want respect, because I'm going to give you respect, right? If that's not going to be reciprocated, well, then we need to figure it out. Most of the time, that doesn't happen that way for me, but still, from that point on, how I carry myself, the presence I have in any room, I don't allow people to try to walk all over me. I won't allow it. I won't allow it, because I refuse to be made small just for someone to feel big and superior and awesome and whatever the case, because whatever they got going on, like your personal feelings are not mine. What you got going on personally, if you want to bring it up, you want to have a conversation, want to figure it out, and want to get to know one another, you need some help, I'll help you out. But your personal feelings of what happened to you when you were growing up, or even in a lower enlist in the military, you want to talk to anybody who you want to? Nah, man, not gonna fly around me. I will. It won't happen that way. But the biggest thing I learned as a father is I will never allow someone to talk to my girls like that. I have daughters. Everybody knows this. I'm going to say everybody. Most people who I'm talking to know this. If you follow Mediocre Dads, which you should, know this, right? I will never allow someone to talk to my daughters in such an egregious manner, and how they feel. Like that won't happen for me. Nope. I can only imagine being like, someone growing up, how he grew up in, whatever, and then just hearing these things on a continuous basis like that. Like, no. He had kids himself. What example are you setting for your kids? What example are you setting for them? He had a daughter and a son. And this is not to get personal, but it's just to say, what example are you setting? Because you cannot you are setting this terrible example by saying these egregious things. What if somebody would have said those to your kids? Are you just going to let them? No, never. Man, as fathers, we are called to be. We're called to be a lot of things. Called to be leaders. Called to be, servant leaders. Servant leadership is the best leadership, and as leaders, we have to be willing to take some BS, but also filter all the BS, and also navigate through the BS for our family, because they're trusting us. They're putting on our shoulders. They say, hey, you got our back. You have our best interest. So they're trusting us, and so we have to be able to do those things. And sometimes, it's hard. It's very hard. When people in your life, especially you work with, bring you to a point where you just don't want to be around anybody. When I got back, and I thought, hey, I did the right thing. I told, I came up on the net, say, hey, this is what's going on. These are things are being said. This is all what we're being preached at the entire time I've been in the military, right? It's even to the point where during that time, the Vanessa Gein thing at Fort Hood is going on, right? And so, like, this is the Army's at the forefront of Army's mind, like Sharp and all that. Like, hey, yo, like, we're not tolerating any of that. And I was like, okay, I did the right thing. But when we got back, I'm talking the friends who I had, the people that I worked with, and everything isolated me. They see him and they're like, yo, want to dap him up and be friends with him, knowing what he did wrong. If y'all would have read those sworn statements, like I didn't read their sworn statements, but I was informed that the information that I provided was corroborated in a lot of ways, and there was more information that they found out about. And it was from most of them. But then on the outside, it was, oh, I got to watch what I say because, I'm going to get told on. And I couldn't believe it. Like, grown men and women, you do the right thing and they just almost laugh in your face like, how dare you tell, right? And you're just like, what do you mean? Because if it was any of you in that situation, you would, and you couldn't stand up for yourself, and you didn't want to stand up for yourself, you would want one of us to say, hey, I need your help. I'm going through some things and this is what's happening. Help me out. Well, you shouldn't be able to do this. And how would you feel if you're just like, well, no, figure it out yourself. I couldn't believe it. And like I said, it helped shape me who I am today, because now, I really turned into one of these things where I tell people, people always ask me at work, they're like, hey, we're going to go out here. We're going to go do this. And I'm like, and they're like, you want to go? I'm like, no. Mm-mm. Nope. Like, oh, you never go out. You're right. I don't. Oh, wait, we're going to do an event. Nah, I'll probably find a way to get out of it. I don't trust people. Anymore. Mm-mm. I don't trust people anymore. And people, sometimes people get angry when they hear this or get upset. And I'm like, no, I don't trust people anymore. Because I know what it's like to trust people in the military. Done it 3 times and got stabbed in the back every single time. And so I don't trust, I was like, for me to be able to trust you, it takes a lot. And if you get my trust, hey, you have a friend, a legitimate friend. But just know right off the bat, I don't trust y'all. Don't trust people. I'm always prepared for you to stab me in the back. And it's not me looking to stab people in the back, but I'm always prepared to be stabbed in the back. So I always distance myself. I can't, because I can't afford to, flip a lid and then go off on people. I can't do that. I won't do that. So, the military has changed me in a lot of good ways. I promise you, a lot of good ways, but also in a lot of bad ways. Like there's things that happen that have changed me, to the point where I'm like, sometimes it's hard to smile at certain things now. You know what I mean? And get joy, find joy in certain things in life, because the military's changed me. But again, it's in a lot of ways in a good way. And I can never take that away. I'm happy the person I am today. I'm happy that I have 2 beautiful daughters. I'm happy I have a beautiful wife that I've known since, and if you follow the podcast, I tell this all the time. I have had I have a family, a beautiful family, and a wife and a daughter, a wife that I've known since, if I go back, 2007. Yeah, 2007. No, 2006. I lied. It was 2006. Since 2006, y'all. 2006, okay, a wife I've known since 2006, and I've been with her since 2011. Man, I love that woman so much, y'all. I really do, because the darkness, if you will, would have consumed me a long time ago. It would have gotten me a long time ago. I'm not gonna lie, it would have gotten me a long time ago. Not to say like I would hurt myself, but like I wouldn't be the man I am today without her, because she keeps me grounded. My girls keep a smile on my face. I come home sometimes angry, upset, but then I walk through the door and I got 2 beautiful daughters ready to greet me. I got a beautiful wife ready to greet me, and they're just super excited that I'm home, ready to see me. And I'm just like, this is what makes it all worth it. When I was going through that was rough. It was a rough time. It was a really dark time, because I was like, I'm never doing this again. I'm never going to tell, or never going to vocalize that something's happening and someone should do something about it, because I'm only going to get treated worse. So yeah, it changed me a lot, man. I tell y'all that story because it's been weighing on my mind a lot. And I was like, maybe I should say it. I should tell the story. Maybe I shouldn't tell the story. Maybe I shouldn't bring it up. I don't know. It was kind of weighing on my mind, and I finally was like, you know what? I'm going to tell it. I'm gonna come out and just kind of tell the story, and because it's part of who I am, part of me. It's part of the reason why I have a podcast now, because I wanted to be able to I want to vocalize my thoughts and my opinions, and I want other people to be able to hear those thoughts and opinions, not to say they're more important, but I want people to be able to hear it. But I also wanted to bring people on to hear their thoughts and opinions on being a dad, how things have different events in their life that shape them to become the better dad, the best dad they can be, and they're working to be a better dad. Like all these things, because man, that man was a hurt man. He was a hurt individual, Sometime at a point in his life, he was hurt, and I feel for him in a lot of ways, and I'm sorry he was hurt, but the way he went about it was not, it was wrong, and he deserved every punishment he got. I'll finish with this. My sergeant major, when I got in trouble for failing the drug test, he says to me one day, he says, "Hey man, how's everything going?" I said, "It's going all right, sergeant major. Just making it." He goes, "You got something on your mind. Go ahead, say it." I said, "Well, Sergeant Major, I did what I did." I said, "I acknowledge I did what I did, and I take full responsibility for that." I said, "But the only thing that I didn't want to take was my rank, and you guys took it." And I said, "I find it strange that there's an individual that was charged with, got a Gomar with, for sexual harassment, who's able to keep his rank and was seen in high regards around the battalion. And I said, I do one thing wrong. I did one thing. I did something wrong. I deserve to get punished for it. But I did this thing wrong. And I said, you guys max punishment on me. Just took it to the man, if you will." And he was like, I'll never forget these words. He said, "Sergeant Bolo is one of the top NCOs we have in this battalion." I couldn't believe it. I don't refer myself as a victim, but to put this in context for y'all to understand, my sergeant major, who by the way was in charge, he was still the sergeant major when that EO and that Sharp complaint was going through. He was he was the sergeant major in charge at the time. So he saw every single sworn statement. He gave him his reading. He knew everything. He read every single sworn statement that was submitted. So he knew every single thing that was said. And when he said that to me, I looked at him and I said, "I can't believe you said that." I said, and I don't refer to myself as a victim at any time, but to give y'all understanding, I said, the victim of that man for sexual harassment. I was like, "You're telling me that he was one of the best leaders you have?" Got it. And you know what he's capable of. You know the things he said. And keep in mind, y'all, when everybody got back, they put him in the barracks. And all the people were asking, "What are you in the barracks for?" I was told I can say a single word. I can't say a single thing. This man would go around, people would ask him what's going on, and he was able to say, "Oh, I got in trouble because I tried to counsel 2 soldiers, and they didn't like what's in the counseling, so they reported me." He said that we got reported him because we didn't like what was in. He was going to counsel us. Can you believe this? Partially the truth. I didn't like what was in my evaluation. I didn't feel like I was deserving of that evaluation. Especially based off of the commentary that he'd be giving me that entire time, and the counselings that he had given me. He said I was doing phenomenal. So I didn't agree with that evaluation. I didn't like that evaluation. So I was like, interesting. So partially Drew, I suppose, but he, when anybody's getting in trouble, they like to leave out the role that they played in the matter. And so, but anyway, I digress. Listen, I am the man who I am today. I love the man I am today. I'm still got a lot of growing to do, however, and I give a lot of credit to my family because they are the ones who keep me standing at all times, regardless of what I go through. And so find your people, man, who can really help you, really get you on your feet and direct you, help you get you right on that right path, and of course pray to God, because Jesus is, and because I promise you guys that in that moment I should have really gone to Jesus and just kind of gave it all to him, but I didn't. I was trying to do everything by myself. This was the time part of life I was trying to do everything by myself. I didn't think I needed God. I'd pray every once in a while, but man, not anything seriously. And so yeah, I definitely had a better option of giving it to God rather than spiraling into becoming an alcoholic. But that's a story for another time. That is a story for another time. Thanks all for joining me for this live. I know it's 46 minutes in. My apologies. I was only going for I was only going for like 30 minutes, but I apologize. I kind of got into it and get long-winded, and that's just kind of how it goes. But that's just the Mediocre Dads podcast, guys. Or being mediocre's choice, and you have to refuse to be mediocre every single day. Before we go, let me hit y'all with some news real quick. All right. Tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, Mediocre Dads will be going live. Mediocre Dads Bible Study. Please, please, please come check us out. I want y'all to come check us out. We're having another live episode. Me and MB will be going live. It's going to be an awesome episode. We're going to talk about something. It's kind of a continuation of today's episode that I just gave y'all. But I want to prepare the scene for tomorrow, because then tomorrow's kind of, going deeper into the emotional aspect of it. And, we're going to talk about suicide. And so, guys, please join us. It's going to be a deep episode. It's going to be a real deep episode. I can't wait to see y'all there. Again, I'm Q of Mediocre Dads. And I can't wait to see y'all tomorrow. Mediocre Dads out.